Welcome to EVTN News, your source for Catholic news. So I want to start right out. There is an African archbishop who had some interesting things to say. See if you agree with him. This is Archbishop Alec Banda, the Archbishop of Lusaka, Zambia. Zambia is in Africa. He wrote a letter to his diocese where he said, "My dear brothers and sisters in Christ and people of goodwill, I hereby wish to address a thorny issue, um, inter alia, other issues that seem to be slowly taking root in our society, albeit complacency from the state and law enforcement agencies. In the last 12 months, we have witnessed an increase in the number of incidents and events that promote LMNOP tendencies contrary to the laws of Zambia and our Zambian culture. Additionally, there has been an increase in the number of incidents of sodomy where boys and men are raped by fellow boys and men with impunity. On Friday, the 16th of September, when a group of concerned citizens decided to undertake a peaceful protest in order to raise awareness of the ever-escalating cases of LMNOP and sodomy in the country. The police were quick to apprehend them together with journalists who were covering the event. These were detained, arrested, and charged with unlawful assembly. The above events are alarming. If nothing is done to raise awareness among our people, LMNOP will become an acceptable norm in Zambia, despite the existence of laws that criminalizes these activities and worse, still being offensive to our cultural and Christian values. From the foregoing, it is necessary to act against the proliferation of LMNOP and other vices, which are averse and seem to be on the increase, corroding the fabric of our society, such as abuse of authority, abuse of state institutions, arbitrary disrespect of the rule of law, the hounding of the opposition members and constitutional office bearers perceived not to toe the line, the rise of nepotism, hybrid hypocrisy, deception, lies, etc. So, wow, that's a pretty strong statement against LMNOP and other vices. It sure is. Archbishop Banda of Lusaka, Zambia. He's not going to be promoted. Let's just say that he won't ever be named a cardinal in the Francis Church. I think that's a pretty safe bet. However, moving on to Switzerland, for 37 years, Monika Schmid has been in charge of the religious services at St. Martin Church in Switzerland. She has received a mandate from the local bishop to celebrate baptisms and marriages, besides leading the weekly prayer services and delivering the sermons. Okay, does that raise any red flags? It sure does. On August 28th, 2022, Monika retired at age 65. Oh, and was replaced by Father Felix Hunger. On that occasion, a mass was concelebrated by the new pastor and Father Joseph Regley. At the consecration, the priest said the first part of the institution, and Monika said the last words, "Do this in remembrance of me." That is to say, she also concelebrated. As far as tradition and action, this is where this comes from. As far as tradition and action is aware, it is the first time a woman concelebrated a mass with at least the tacit authorization of the local bishop, Bishop Joseph Bonnermain. Oh, have you heard of him before? Yeah, he's a bishop of Chur, Switzerland. So she retired. So this is kind of funny. Okay. She retired at age 65. So does that mean that women have, what should I say? That women have preferential treatment to men now? Because I thought that priests, I thought that they had like a retirement age of 70 years old. But this woman retired at 65, so is she saying that she's better than men? I'm sure that, the women's ordination people don't care about that. They talk about equality, but what about equality in retirement ages? Can you have a bunch of priests retire early? I mean, not for health issues or any other kind of issues. and you have the priest just retire early because they feel like getting away from the Novus Ordo or whatever. Anyway, okay, Cardinal Ike is the Archbishop of Utrecht, Netherlands. He wrote an article here. He said the Belgian Flemish bishops surprised many inside and outside the church with a statement published on September 20th entitled Being Pastorally Close to LMNOP Persons for a Welcoming Church That Excludes No One. For Catholics who accept the church's teaching, this was not at all a pleasant surprise. Okay, so he goes on about what they did, and I want to read just a little bit of this ceremony. So he said, in a statement, they provide a model for the celebration of the word and prayer in which the blessing of LMNOP couples can take shape. It is outlined as is follows. They have an opening word, so like opening comment, an opening prayer, a scripture reading, and then expressing the commitment of both parties to each other, manifesting before God their mutual bond. Okay, so those are the I guess the sequences of this LMNOP blessing of LMNOP couples. Now, the statement of the Flemish bishops, in which they allow the blessing of LMNOP couples and even provide a liturgical model for it. This is Cardinal Ike, E-I-J-K. This is his comments. This meets with inherent ethical objections, radically contradicts a recent ruling by the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, and carries the risk that it may lead Catholics to views on the morality of LMNOP relationships that are contrary to church teaching. Catholics who accept the church teaching, including on sexual morality, therefore fervently hope that the Flemish bishops will soon be asked by ecclesiastically competent circles to withdraw their statement and that the latter will comply. Fervent hope. Is there a reasonable hope? Is there a reasonable hope that the bishops of Belgium will withdraw their support for LMNOP blessings? I would say that their hope is as reasonable as it is that all men are saved. Ooh. Okay. German. Okay, Bishop Franz Joseph Bodie, the vice president of the German Bishops' Conference and the Synodal Way, announced that he will not resign after accusations were made in an official report that he knowingly promoted abusive priests. Oh, where have we seen that before? Plenty of places, right? In a Thursday press conference, Bodie says that he plans to remain the bishop of Osnabrück, saying, I've decided to devote all my energies in my remaining term to the tasks and duties already indicated by the interim report and also to face the results of the final report in 2 years. So there you go. He's saying, nope, I promoted priests that I knew were molesters, but I'm not going to resign. There you go. That's what happens if you're in the Francis Church. Job security, right? Aside from, you can do anything aside from the actual molesting, because Cardinal McCarrick got busted for that. But if you do anything else, even if you support these people, guess what? The Francis Church is going to support you. So why would you do anything else? Francis traveled to Matera, Italy on September 25th for the conclusion of a Eucharistic Congress. In Matera, he did not preside, but he only gave an embarrassing sermon. His slogans were, Christ makes bread for us on his table. The bread of the feast tastes like communion. The bread is not always shared on the table of the world. Our lives can become the bread that feeds the poor and the lonely. Then his dreaming obsession began. He dreamed of a church that kneels before the Eucharist. Whoa. Venerates with reverence the Lord present in the bread. Knows how to bow with compassion and tenderness before the suffering and the poor. And makes itself the bread of hope and joy for all. Okay, so that last sentence was surprising. I'm not really sure what he's trying to go there with the illusion, the allusions there, but he dreams of a church that kneels before the Eucharist. Oh boy. Well, I think they do that at the Mass you don't like, Pope Francis. Anyway, moving on to the United Kingdom. Canon Joe Wheat, the Vicar General of the Catholic Diocese of Nottingham in England, has called for married and female priests, saying it would be a long overdue change and one which would address clergy shortages in the diocese. Okay, so most of you probably don't know who this guy is. Obviously, he's not Catholic, just pretends to be, probably making a nice paycheck off of the church. But this is probably going to be their approach. The modernists, the modernist anti-Catholics, it's probably going to be their approach in the future by saying, oh, we have such clergy shortages. Let's ordain women. That's a great way to address the clergy shortages. Yeah. Okay. So the dioceses that have clergy shortages, let's take a look and see what's the population of Mass attendance there. It's who their Novus Ordos. I mean, obviously the Latin Mass is not included in that, but how many people are attending their Novus Ordos? Is there really a clergy shortage, or are your church buildings completely empty? I think that's an interesting question that more people should be asking. Yeah, there is. I mean, there's less clergy, but there's also less lay people attending your clown masses. Bishop Batzing from Germany. He said, "It is human nature to seek continuity, but the shortest definition of religion is interruption. For this confused bishop, all too certainly, the quote is, all too certainly asserted continuities, including seamless connections along the lines of, that has always been so, that has always been believed so, what was wrong with yesterday can't be right today, and are frankly suspect." So he's saying what was wrong, the statement what was wrong yesterday can't be right today, that's questionable. That's what he's saying. He said that's a questionable statement. So basically he's saying morality is arbitrary. Where have we heard that before? Lots of modernists, and that is heresy. Okay. The day before Batzing told the bishops about the synodal way, he said reforms must not stop at church doctrine. I mean, really, are you surprised? That's basically what they're doing. And, oh yeah, do they have the support about the Vatican? All right, Cardinal Zuppi. Oh, he has a chance to become the next pope, Cardinal Zuppi in Italy. So anyway, he comes into this story here at the end. The Latin Rite pilgrimage ad Petri Sedem, organized since 2012, will also take place in 2022, despite France's civil war against the Latin Mass. Pope Francis's civil war against the Latin Mass. The organizers obtained without difficulty the Vatican authorization to end their procession with the celebration of a Mass at the altar of the chair in St. Peter's. Interesting, but that's great. The LMNOP endorser, Cardinal Matteo Zuppi, Bologna Cardinal and President of the Italian Bishops, accepted to preside over the pontifical vespers in the Roman Pantheon. So he's actually going to be a part of this pilgrimage, even though despite his opposition to Catholic doctrines, particularly in regards to LMNOP, he seems very friendly to the Latin Mass. And that's why I think that, I don't know if I want to say friendly, but he at least doesn't seem to want to ban it. And that's been the case on multiple occasions. That's why I think that we could be in a better spot than some people think. I don't know. I don't really know. We'll have to see what happens with this next pope. But I think we do have... It would be very strange to have an ally like Zupi, but apparently that's where we're at. I don't even want to say ally, but at least someone who doesn't completely hate the trads. You know, that would be a welcome change in the Vatican for sure. Uh, all right, going up to some controversy here, and you'll have to read a little bit more of this because there's only so much I can say on video. In the September 29th interview, Cardinal Kurt Koch provoked anger among German Catholic progressivists after he drew comparison between the German synodal path and certain Protestant groups during the time of National Socialism in Germany. National Socialists, yeah, what were they? Yeah, Hitler's group. Since both of them were trying to adapt their faith to the zeitgeist of their era. Koch has since apologized for any hurt feelings he may have caused, but has not retracted his statement. That's a pretty bold claim. Here's a quote. For this phenomenon has already occurred during the National Socialist dictatorship, where the so-called German Christians saw God's new revelation in blood and soil in the rise of Hitler. The Confessing Church protested against this with its Barmer Theological Declaration in 1934, the first thesis of which reads, "We reject the false doctrine as if the Church could and must recognize as the source of preaching, apart from and in addition to this one Word of God, other events and powers, figures and truths as God's revelation." Okay, so like I said, I include the links to all of the articles that I discuss in the description of this video. So if you're interested in reading more on that, check that out. I can't discuss that very much in detail for obvious reasons. Okay, moving on. University of Notre Dame. On Wednesday, the Irish Rover, the University of Notre Dame campus newspaper, published an article detailing various products available in the school's store, including content for children. The article said, Notre Dame recently signed a contract with Barnes & Noble, switching their bookstore services from Follett Company. The change has brought with it several decks of tarot cards, an increased promotion of astrology, and numerous sexualized LMNOP children's books. So, yay, good for University of Notre Dame. They're not Catholic. Well, I mean, the people that run it are not Catholic. Yay. I'm sure they still have some Catholics there, but, yeah. It hasn't been I mean, think about it. Father Theodore Hesburgh was president in, was it the 60s? Definitely the 70s when they signed the Land O'Lakes Agreement. Cardinal McCarrick actually signed that, saying declaring Catholic University independence from bishops. And really, the bishops don't provide much leadership anyway right now, but certainly the universities are far worse. Tarot cards. Ask Hans von Balthasar about that. Yeah, he wrote a foreword, or as an afterword. He wrote an endorsement for the book Meditations on the Tarot. Oh yeah, and a lot of people really love his theology. Sounds kind of weird. All right, Catholic Identity Conference. Did anyone attend the Catholic Identity Conference? Day one of the Remnants Catholic Identity Conference in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania was underway on, was it Friday? This year's theme focused on resisting the efforts of Pope Francis' attack on the traditional Latin Mass and his promotion of the Great Reset agenda. If you're interested, LifeSite News had the coverage, as well as probably several others. Michael Matt, his remnant organization, ran the Catholic Identity Conference. Now, really, the theme was Unite the Clans. It used to be that theme, and now it doesn't quite seem to be that way. And I don't know. I don't know what I think here, or I don't know what to necessarily say here. I do think that they do have a select group of people. I I mean, the remnant needs to make, they need to fundraise somehow. What what is accomplished by this? Is it a bunch of people coming together and just like networking? I mean, that's probably a good goal. And you can do that for free. I mean, networking among people. Like, I'm telling you guys, I think it would be a great idea for you to get some Latin Mass regional groups. Seriously, network with people outside of your area. See what you're going to do if your Mass is shut down. I mean, bishops are banning people from the sacraments. It's probably going there's probably going to be more bans before anything else happens, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Um, but do your part, network with everyone as much as you can. Get contact information. That's a good idea. We're moving on to Cardinal Zen. On Tuesday, Cardinal Zen's second day in court in Hong Kong. 5 witnesses were cross-examined, and the magistrate ruled that there was sufficient evidence to justify a trial. So he's on trial with on trial with 4 other people. It's basically anti-government stuff, which is, I mean, we all, all of us support him. I mean, he's supporting the Chinese underground church and opposing the Chinese Communist Church. And the Vatican supports the Chinese Communist Church. And that's been very clear. There's no support from the Vatican for Cardinal Zen. Are you really surprised? It's been happening for years that the Vatican's been selling out these Chinese Catholics. Cardinal Zen's next trial date is set for October 26th. He was arrested in May, along with other democracy activists under Hong Kong's strict national security law. Under the current less serious charge, he could face a fine of about $1,200, but no jail time. I mean, I don't know. How much is the Vatican getting from China? Are they getting anything from China, or are they really just communists? All right, get the comments here. Sissy Brooks, thanks for joining the live stream. Girls have been serving Mass in Rochester, New York for years. It is not a Mass, it is a Protestant Lord's Supper. Well, I mean, whenever you have women, celebrating it, yeah, sure. Yeah, I was initially upset about the proposed closure of 112 parishes in the Archdiocese of St. Louis. Now I say close them all, rid us of the modernist church, the sooner the better. Completely evil act. I'm not sure exactly what that was referring to. Anyway, let's look. SSPX, Land O'Lakes agreement. Yep, SSPX is 2-minute drive from my house. Institute 4-minute. Whoa. So you have options. Heck, I mean, if both of them are that close, then go to both, Make friends with everyone. All are welcome, right? Speaking of McCarrick, where is he? This man needs some justice applied. Hey, Patty, thanks for joining us on the live stream. Always good to see you. McCarrick he still has criminal charges pending in Massachusetts. His trial was delayed. I complained about that. It seemed like, March he had a trial date and no one really said anything. And then I think his trial was delayed for later this month or maybe November. I'm not entirely sure. It's coming up at some point, but I think that's what's going to happen I think his trial is just going to keep getting delayed as long as they can. And the attorneys in the case, the lawyers, guess what? They make money. The longer that the case drags on, the more money they make. So that's the goal for them. And McCarrick and his group, I mean, you got to be thinking, someone like Supich or any of these McCarrick Cardinals, they got to be, it's in their best interest to drag the thing out. And so that's kind of what I expect to happen. Ryan says McCarrick is in a monastery living quite comfortably. Really? I didn't know that. He's in a monastery, so I wonder if he's paying his room and board. I think he did that in the Kansas. Was that in the Kansas monastery? It wouldn't need to be near a school. All right. Yeah. And all right. Well, everyone, I see there's it looks like there might be a nice sunset outside. So I'm definitely going to grab my camera and see what pictures I can get. So thank you for watching. This has been EVTN News. And until next time, we are the laity. And I do want to say I have some book reviews coming up. You've probably checked out a few of them, and I really enjoy Catholic reading, Catholic literature. I don't know, what would you call it? Lives of the Saints. Post in the description. Post your favorite Catholic books. I mean, come on, like this is great. I post a whole bunch of book reviews. It's not really a super popular topic. Like a lot of the books. I mean, it doesn't get a lot of views, but hey, I like reading. I haven't done as many YouTube videos. You probably noticed that. And that's because I've spent a little more time reading. And you know what? I enjoy reading. I enjoy reading these Catholic books. It's really been great. And so that's why I've been doing less YouTube videos. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. This has been EVTN News. We are the laity, and we will not be silent.